Okay. Yeah, so no comments on the meeting minutes from our last meeting. That was on the 9th of February. Go ahead.
Looks good to me.
Okay. Consider those approved. I'm going to wait. I actually added an item on that Ruffin pointed out yesterday about the default RMW. I'm going to table that for just a minute to see if he joins us. We'll come back to that. Yeah, so we'll start with Marco. If you have an update on the use case that you're working on, or using security for RMF.
Yeah, so I mostly compile a list of needs that I think the RMF has. So let me see if I can share it here. I did. Yeah. Oh, I do. Anyway. Not this one. Not my calendar. Yeah, that one. Hopefully it works.
Yeah, I can see it.
All right. So basically, as I said last time, the support for certificate revocation, it's I would say it's one of the most important that ROS could help RMF because currently the only way I see it's to go down to robots and change their certificate manually, and these robots will be spread out in a facility that is probably quite big. So currently we're doing hospitals, so it can take you a few hours until you reach all the robots and change certificates. And apparently this is already supported at the DDS level. So I guess it's only on us to expose this at the ROS level. Then also another thing that I realized is that it's the command line interface tools of ROS cannot be used with the security when the security is on. So that makes it very difficult to debug when you are deploying a large system like RMF. We also talked about certificate authorities, hierarchies. I'm not sure how much. I haven't looked into this too much. I just put it here because we talked about it. So I'm not sure how much we need this or how much it will help. But I'll just leave it there for now so we can keep it in mind. We also talked a bit about some third-party verification ways, at least. One of my biggest concerns with RMF are third parties because they're not managed by the system integrator. You don't know how they're going to be secured. So maybe some ways of verifying that they have some level of security, or that you can, or at least a guideline for the vendors, something like that. Also, the setup test, that is another thing that I thought of. Like when you run you set up the whole security environment, you run it, but then there's no guidelines or tools on. I mean, I guess there's ways on how to check, but maybe we should have some guidelines on how you can check that your setup is correct. Like, I mean, everything is working in my setup and everything, but how do I know the security is working, right? My demo or my whole setup is working, but the security, I don't know if it's working right. And there might be like you're using a vendor, a DDS vendor underneath that is in fact the one providing the security, but you don't know if it's actually working or it's not properly done or it has some leaks or something. So ways to test and verify that the security is on, the encryption is being done, and all that will be very interesting. I also put there the ROS launch support, which I think it's on its way, and also the option to generate the policy. So I know right now there's a generation policy that uses the ROS graph, but that is only representative of the communications being done at a certain point of time, I guess. So I think that it would be interesting if we could do that, and maybe using the NoDL description. I don't know how detailed it is. I think it should have the description of the communications there, but I'm not too sure. That's why I put the question mark there. Yeah. And then the rest of the issues are mostly like on the RMF side.
So a few reactions to that. I think working from the bottom up, I believe the plan for NodeDL, you can check with Ted when he's here, probably at our next meeting. But the plan for NodeDL should be to actually eventually generate some more detailed policy, to create things like read-only nodes and so on. I know the initial implementation doesn't do that, but I think that is, the plan. So we just have to track those pull requests in that project as it kind of grows. Yeah, and I haven't heard much about ROS launch since we last spoke. Let me ask for the setup, test, and verification. That actually sounds like there's a possibility with logs there. Jeremy, do you have any thoughts? Like when Marco was describing what he's looking for, is that what the logging plugins will provide for us?
Well, to some extent. So we're working on enabling one of the missing security feature in DDS, in fast DDS at the moment, which is security logging. That's not one of the 3 mandatory security plugins as per ROS 2, but that's one we are eager to see implemented. And this plugin will essentially log every security event with different granularity of logging, and they will be logged in both in the file and over the DDS graph. The difficulty at the moment is that it's not going to be immediately available to the ROS graph, and for a very stupid reason, that the DDS security topic, the topic name is using characters that are not recognized by ROS 2. We raised this issue to Open Robotics, and at the moment they are not planning on supporting those special characters. So that will take some simple bridge that simply translate from a DDS message to a ROS message. Anyway, the point here is that to some extent you will get an idea of what's going on from the security perspective through logs, and we are aiming at at integrating that into the system logs, to integrate that as well with the CM tools, so that you can use all of your usual security surveillance tools with DDS as well. But of course, you only see what's being logged, so I guess that doesn't cover the full extent of what you're mentioning here, making sure that everything works. and that everything is set up correctly. You only get to see what's there and what's actually logging anything. While I'm on the floor, just a quick note on the CLI tools. We are aware about the limitation that they are not working with ROS2, and the difficulty here is that those tools, by default, I mean by design, they are able to access any topic, any parameter, any such thing. So it's very difficult to set rules, security rules that would allow to use them while keeping a secure system. That would take some dynamic aspect in the rule generation, and that's something we hope NoDL will cover as well. We have discussed other ways of doing that in the past, but at the moment it's not clear how that would integrate with DDS. So hopefully NoDL will alleviate this pain. That's it for me.
So it seems like, Marco, you might have some of the test cases we kind of mature some of the logging and some of the NoDL stuff. I think we definitely want to work together on that. Does anybody have any other reactions, particularly about the CRLs? Does anybody be working that problem at all? So it sounds like not, at least for who we have here right now. So I think, Marco, I think this is a really nice list. I have a feeling our next steps probably are, Jeremy, you've heard what Mark is working on. If there's opportunities for you to kind of toss some stuff over the fence at Marco so that he could try it out for logging and whatnot, there's an opportunity there. Same with Marco. If you have questions about how that's working, that's for the logging, that's Jeremy. And then for the NoDL, I know Ted has been working that. And I think those pull requests are actually still open, still waiting review.
Unfortunately, NoDL is moving rather slowly, but that's because it's being integrated in the main rep design of ROS2. So everybody wants to be sure that it is done correctly from a design perspective. Just a quick note about the seventh point, the generate policy. So you mentioned the tool from ROS2 that indeed captures only a ROS graph at the moment in time, and that's precisely why we got started with NoDL. We needed something that would capture the entire graph at any time, that would make it as easy and automatic as possible to generate those policy. And that's precisely why we're working on NoDL and the secure launch as well.
Yeah, so that everything sounds great. I'll be happy to give it a try, a test, or whatever you have. Just let me know.
Sure thing.
So that sounds good. We'll just probably keep you on the menu and the agenda for the working group meetings, Marco, just to give us updates when you're here, and call out for any help if you need it. So then I'm going to move on to move it to discussion. Not as long, I don't think. I'm going to present a slide here for you. Second here. All right, hopefully you can see just one slide here related to movement. So this is from a discussion I had with the folks that presented to us. I guess that was back last year now, but we were talking about what our best initial use case is. This is the typical design. It's kind of like just a sketchbook we started out with, where the movement cell with the support nodes, the green and the blue, they actually all exist today in a LXD container that you can just download and run. So that's all already built out without security. So actually our next step is to implement this read-only robot state. That's actually just an RViz view into the robot. So if you take the green and blue boxes, if you will, run them in LXD in a simulator, and that is essentially your robot, right? The intent is to simulate this read-only robot state, which is RViz visualization of what the robot is actually doing. So just simply to take use the LXD container that exists for the running robot, make a copy of it for that read-only robot state, and kick off an RViz visualization into the running robot, and then make sure that one is read-only. So the next step here is to take the pre-built container, implement security on the container, and then clone it off to create a read-only container as well. So we end up with 2 LXD containers. So that kind of makes sense. So I don't feel like I'm explaining that terribly well, but I think the drawing kind of shows you that it's a very simple use case where you have RViz reaching into a running robot that should have read-only view of what the robot state is. So that's what we're going to look at implementing. If anybody else is interested in working on this, again, I think all the setup is done because we can start with a pre-built LXD container, and it's just a matter of applying security to that container, one for the actual running robot and then one for the read-only view into the other robot. So no comments on that, it sounds like. So I'm going to move on. I have, it looks like Cli, first of all, did I get your name right, Cli?
Yeah, that's not, well, pronunciation is a Finnish name, so I'm used to very different ways, but I say Kalle myself.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So thanks a lot for joining us. I think you had some questions that you posed up into the Matrix chat. If you want to throw them out here, hopefully somebody will pick them up. It didn't seem like you got too much traction on the chat.
Yeah, that's right. I think it's more just like a sort of like a newbie question. I've been trying to educate myself a little bit with ROS, and so I basically work in a drone project as a security engineer, and we have like existing ROS2 nodes there, and we use that for the different drone components to communicate with each other, but also the drones communicate with each other in the fleet through ROS2, and basically we are now thinking to add security on top of that. And I have been trying to figure out like what are the different encryption and authentication schemas that are supported, and how much control we have to change them. And one big thing is also that we would like to have a centralized key management for basically all the cryptography happening on board on a drone. So I was wondering, is it possible for ROS to fetch the keys somewhere else than in this file system on the same box, basically? So there are like a bunch of questions, and I was just hoping if there is a pointer to some kind of documentation around it. We don't need to go through all questions probably right now, but I was unable to find like very detailed documentation on crypto and authentication. I understand the high-level concept of all these, including the access control lists and all, but when it comes to a little bit about what algorithms are used, how does the authentication process look like, and so forth.
Did we lose Marco? Oh no, there you are, Marco. Hey, Marco, I don't know if you would mind feeling this. This sounds like he's working on something very similar to what you've been working with on RMF.
Yeah, I guess the use case could be similar. The authentication and the encryption happens at the DDS level, so it would be based on the DDS framework that you use in there. So for documentation on that, you can check it out on the there you go, on the DDS security specifications.
Okay, got it.
I don't know. To be honest, I don't know personally how much each vendor of DDS would support. So you might have to check on whatever you're using, if you're using FastRTPS or if you're using Cyclone DDS.
Yeah, right now we are using the FastRTPS.
Yeah, so then you might have to check on the documentation from them. And then I would say that to be honest, we haven't defined yet how we plan to do it, but we also are in a need of having like some kind of centralized location or some way to manage keys from different robots, and that is not supported as far as I know by ROS. And the only way that we have right now is basically you have to deploy those keys manually. And that was my point with the revocation of certificates that we need, because there's no way to, if you have one of these drones get the key is stolen or someone takes over, there's no way you can revocate the key unless you have to like go and fetch the drone somehow, right?
Yeah, exactly. And this is one of the concerns. Like we are trying to create an enclave on board and hoping that we would do, if not all, most of the encryption in that enclave. And whatever components need to use cryptography, they just make requests over any, let's say, cryptographic interface, maybe PKCS11 or so forth. But I think this is not probably supported based on what you are saying. But on the other hand, certificates are supported. So I think we could work around that by key hierarchies. So the root key being in enclave and then just signing keys for ROS outside of enclave. But I was going through those samples on ROS in GitHub, and I didn't see much about certificates there, like when you create keys and whatnot. I was I thought that those are just raw keys there, but is there some kind of certificates like signed automatically when I create a key store and key?
Yes, indeed. Everything is created automatically with some very or rather permissive policies, so that your whole graph can spawn and just work. But nothing prevents you from creating your own keys, your own policy, your own access control and everything. This kind of granularity, of course, that's only for power user, I'd say, which you probably are. And you may find more information on the FastDDS documentation, as well as the secure DDS specifications.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, this was pretty much the pointer I was looking for. So I'll read through the specs, and I'm sure I get forward with that.
I mean, from our perspective, we are not trying, to show how a power user could super tune his own system, but we are going the other way around. How the most beginner user could easily secure its robot with ROS 2. So trying to have everything as automatic as possible, while not preventing the power user from doing its things.
Right.
So that's why the ROS 2 documentation may seem a little light.
Yeah, understood. Yeah. Thanks, Jeremy.
So great. Hopefully that helped you out a little bit, got you started, and feel free to drop in on the meetings or try again out on the Matrix chat, and we'll try to help you along.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because one of the things too that we were talking about these use cases and whatnot. What we're trying to do is actually find those good use cases that can be used as tutorials and update our documentation.
And maybe as our project goes forward, I can maybe at some point prepare a demo for you guys if you are interested to see how we ended up using SROS. Of course, now it's a bit early, but just to kind of, if you're interested, I was also in earlier call with you guys, and I saw a demo also. Yeah. So maybe something similar I could.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great. I mean, I think it benefits everybody to see some of the more real world uses of the security so that we can continue maturing the offering. So cool. So I did have one more thing, although we're running a little bit long. There's a issue that was just posted yesterday. Let me see if I can pull that up. That the default RMW no longer ships with security features. Did everybody see that? Does anybody have any comments on that?
Kyle posted a comment already, pinging eProsima and asking if they haven't, simply compiled it without the feature.
Yeah, so I'll just leave that out there for everybody. If anybody gets a chance to make a comment on that, that's definitely something we'll want to track. I don't know. You don't have any more insights into it, Jeremy? I know I don't.
No, not really.
Yeah,
that's probably on eProsima's side.
Yeah. So hopefully it's just something in the build farm that can enable security. But okay, all right. So that's all I have for today. Does anybody else have anything else? All right, if not, then we'll go ahead and call it. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot for the update, Marco. And we'll see y'all in, I think it's about 2 weeks.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Take care.